Well, for me, this is a journey of discovery, but I suspect that what we'll find is something deeply uncomfortable about this little country of ours. I believe that there is now in Wales a cause for deep shame, the shame and the stigma attached to poverty, and by extension, the way that that poverty inflicts itself and deprives the most vulnerable in our society, our children and young people. Rice as well as free food to families whose finances are being squeezed.
We also run a breakfast here where we encourage families to come in and have a healthy breakfast.
Yeah.
And that's the main aim behind that, because they have them in schools for children. We wanted one for the parents, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to keep that family going if they haven't got a decent meal inside them. And that's what we do. We do a low-cost breakfast here. Yeah. In fact, sometimes it's no-cost breakfast.
Okay.
As long as people are coming in and accessing support. And that more and more, that's what's happening, because people can't afford it.
The situation is made even more complex if a family experiences a sudden change in financial circumstances, which sees them slide down the financial scale from affluence to what is officially defined may not look like a family struggling financially.
Hello.
But they are today's new poor in Wales, with an income from benefits which they calculate to be at least 60% below the benchmark average.
Did you have a good time at school?
Just a few months ago, the Bridges and their children were enjoying the good life, but then their financial circumstances changed dramatically, and they learned just how quickly you can move from affluence to hard times.
So will they have had a glass of milk or something?
Yeah. It's costing us £15 for a child per week.
Chris Bridger had been working as a long-distance lorry driver in Australia and earning up to £1,000 a week when he dislocated his ankle stepping down from his lorry, and that's when their world changed.
We'd go out for Sunday lunch and go to the cinema, and that was just us.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the kids, they had their ballet, swimming.
Yeah.
The petrol was worse than the actual fee of going, because it was £4 a week. It wasn't too bad for them to go, but the petrol was worth taking them.
Money dries up quick.
The switch from wages to benefits forced the couple to rethink their finances, and fuel poverty, a phrase vague and unfamiliar to the Bridges, suddenly made an unwelcome appearance in their lives. Fuel oil costs more than £600 a tankful, but the Bridges were getting through it in less than 3 months. Everything to do with family finances has had to be rethought, including running the family car, or not running it when it breaks down, and they're suddenly faced with a repair bill of £1,000, a bill they can't afford to pay.
I mean, if you need extra money like that, do you borrow money?
We've had to borrow, yeah. We've had to borrow a few times lately, haven't we?
And then pay back gradually when we can.
Yeah.
Who do you borrow from?
Family members. It's
Right, okay.
the only thing we can.
So you haven't found yourselves using credit cards or
No,
loans
no.
or, you know, because...
No, that would be worse, wouldn't it?
The Bridges, and Chris is the only one of 10 in his family who has worked all his life, have learnt a harsh lesson in the fall from financial grace to financial grind.
Do you want a sandwich? Yes, please. When we go shopping now, we try for it to be about 60 something pound a week. Before we just put in what we wanted, and it was well over 100, sometimes double that, 120. He's even been online looking at the cheaper places, because when you're buying nappies in big quantity, it can make a difference. You're saving sometimes half the amount.
The family hope that their flirtation with poverty is just that, but there is no certainty that Chris will find another job when he's fit again. If he doesn't, at a time where there's another baby on the way, the family will remain in the poverty trap it now finds itself in.
what's happening in terms of this recession that we're all pitched into is affecting us all, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Everybody are having to take straw.
Yeah, no, everybody. I mean, I think, you know, the critical point in all of this is that this isn't happening to other people. This is happening to us. This is Wales. These are our communities, rural and urban, and it's affecting all of us, and it's making us all think through. You know, one of the mums again sort of said to me, and it sounds a bit of a cliche, but she meant it when she said it, every penny counts. Every single penny counts.
Towards the end of our week-long journey, I began to realise how much in the dark I had been about the complexities of the journey we were making. For me, the tour of Wales continually threw up surprises and altered and challenged my preconception of what poverty means. There was just one last destination on our journey through Wales, to Anglesey, to visit a family which is among a group of families which is all too often forgotten and neglected. These are the families with disabled children who are living in poverty.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, and all the kind of research that's done on benefit levels and poverty with families with disabled children, that they're disproportionately in a much more difficult position than other families, you know, and there's all kinds of sort of statistical evidence that shows that nearly half of families with disabled children are incredibly pessimistic about the future. I do have a concern, particularly around the UK government's welfare reform agenda, because any way that I look at what's currently proposed, all I can see is a situation where benefits are actually reduced rather than actually recognising that these families are in particular difficulty and actually need ongoing support, not reductions in benefit.